Welcome back to Stellaris for Beginners. Last time we had our initial setup, our initial first 6 years, and today we're going to continue that particular process by expanding our empire, balancing our economy, whilst at the same time potentially getting into a first contact situation. We are taking a look at where our priorities should be and which things we should probably be ignoring for now. Alright, as we are right now, we are 6 years into the game, and we've got a couple of things to do. First of all, we have gotten ourselves a reasonable amount of territory that we can colonize. For instance, we've got Sirius 3. Sirius 3 has got something called a modifier attached to it. It means it has an asteroid belt, which means that minerals from jobs will be plus 10%. This basically means that this planet is very, very good as a mining planet, which will generate us minerals. And this is generally a very good idea to take a look at the worlds that you have available to yourselves and then specialize them based on their initial traits as well as districts. For those of you who were not here last time, districts are the basic generator of resources. For instance, this particular planet, whilst having great mineral districts, doesn't necessarily have the special modifier to generate even more. Therefore, this planet may actually be suited better for something else. Because we already want to set up a mining planet on Sirius, even though we have a less mining slot, it may be better to turn this place into an energy world. And of course, energy is great for us in order to generate more resources or trade energy for the goods that we need at any moment in time. Now, we got a colony ship ready to go. It is currently at Earth. So what we can do here is we can literally just select Sirius on the world map, colonize, and then select the ship. It is currently docked at Sol Station. So we're going to go and do that. Let's give it a cool name. I think this will be a good name for a planet. So let's go ahead and do just that. We'll also be going slowly but steadily over some of these items that are on the left side of the screen as we are going forward with this particular video. So do be aware of that. So what do we do from this moment onwards? I saw a couple of people in the last video wondering, hey, why are you looking to ignore this particular planet? It is an amazing world. It is lush. It has great habitability. It has high mineral value. It is, sadly, also a holy world. A holy world is a world that is protected by something that is out there, and colonizing it would cause some problems. That's why we're going to ignore it for now. In the meantime, our construction ship is ready to go, and it looks like we found ourselves yet another planet next to Sol. And in the meantime, though, we're going to go ahead and take this particular system because there is a variety of reasons to do so. First of all, it has a lot of resources in it, a lot of minerals, especially those precious +4 places that you always want to get pretty darn early. But secondly, it is a choke node system. Now, what do we mean by that? Space is completely divided into these nodes that connect to each other, and you will want to get choke nodes, places that are only connected by one exit path to another part of the galaxy. It means that you can set up defenses quite easily and funnel any enemies, yes, they do exist, into that particular system and have a nice defensive perimeter in case you need to do something later on. Let's just speed up the game a little bit with the plus button on our keyboards. Let's open up the outliner and let's take a look at what else we can do. Now, right now, the game will be running a little bit slowly because at first glance, there is not a lot of stuff to do. But you would be wrong. It's time to go and take a look at balancing our economy. Our capital world, i.e. Earth in this particular case, has by itself a lot of stuff going on. And it may not necessarily be the clearest on what is going on here. Well, first of all, there is these indicators of jobs that are available. Currently, there are no jobs. That means that if a pop will grow, pop are, by the way, the definition of your population, they will become unemployed and unhappy. Because of that, we're going to need to build a district or a building. Now, what we can do here is either build something that we need, like consumer goods. So we could, for instance, build a industrial district, and anybody who will grow here or get born will start working in the industrial district, or people from other places will actually start to move over because they are a specialist job. Or we could build a building. In this particular case, a research lab would be really, really good. So we're actually going to go ahead and do that because research is really important for us. In addition, there is also this other building called a commercial zone, which is generating a reasonable amount of trade value and amenities for us. So we're not going to touch that. You may hear from people that, hey, the jobs this place produces, i.e. the clerks, they're not all that great. No, they are not. But for now, we do need them. And we're going to go into pops and their jobs shortly. In the meantime, the galaxy is moving along. We have ourselves some strategic resources being discovered. Very important. Basically, this will allow us to upgrade our fleets and our buildings down the line. Strategic goods are listed here. This is volatile modes, which is one of the categories. There's also crystals and gas. As our science ships are just beavering along, trying to find out what is going on, you may have noticed that there are these planets that are all listed in red. They are arid worlds, or Arctic worlds, or alpine worlds, etc. And these are, of course, problematic because we cannot do anything with them. Yeah, we will get to that shortly. But yeah, we can terraform these worlds and basically claim them as our own. And because they are close to our capital world and within range of these choke nodes, it means that we have a great little core sector in the future going on. But we have just managed to get first contact. And our first contact is with a stagnant ascendancy. The type of empire that you have, that you discover, is actually listed here. You can actually hover over that to see what kind of empire they have and what they do. So this is definitely something that you can take a look at. But this is a fallen empire, which means that they are a large empire, and basically they won't do anything to you unless, of course, you decide to go after this Gaia world from here. But in the meantime, we can go and, you know, salute these guys. The wisdom must be so great. The first alien encounter, these guys are over here. The capital world is over here, which means they will probably stick around this particular area. Which means that going down this path will most likely be blocked off by their territory. If a alien species has hyperlanes under their control, as we can see here, and they are marked in red, it means that we cannot go through their territory. If you have, for instance, the first contact expansion, you can get cloaking systems and then you can bypass all of that. But that's not the case here because we are not playing with any of the expansions in this particular video series. In the meantime, though, we do have a rather limited amount of influence, which means we cannot do all that much. So instead, we're going to go ahead and set our construction ship over here to build these mining stations, specifically the level 3s and the level 4s, because their return on investment is going to be significantly better than the smaller ones. The level 2s we're just going to leave, and the level 1s are completely non-interesting for us. Yes, more level 3s, please. That would be great. In the meantime, new science has popped up. A lot of cool options here. Weapon technology and being able to move faster is always useful. However, in this particular case, I really like Strikecraft because they allow you to get an additional building on one of our space stations. Speaking of which, it's time to build some. Basically, every single system within the game has this building. It's called a station, a standard star port. We can, of course, upgrade these to make them better by going to their navigation system and then hit the upgrade button. It's usually a good idea to do this in the systems that you have a planet in, and you can also do this from the world map by just clicking on the little button here and then hit upgrade, and we'll do the same thing with Sirius as well. We'll be spending about 200 alloys a pop here, and by now you should have enough of those to do whatever you need with them. In the meantime, though, whilst that is building and Alpha Centauri is doing their thing, and my construction ships are doing their thing, it's time to take a look at what the status is at our research labs. They are just about to be finished, and they now are just finished. which means that 2 jobs are available, which is great for us. However, we now have a lack of amenities. Why do we have a lack of amenities? Well, because researchers are a specialist job, and now we're going to get into some of the more complicated stuff within the game, and that is some of the underlying mechanics behind the population system. Now, there are 3 tiers of population. There is the rulers, everybody wants to be rulers. Then there is the specialists, a lot of people want to be specialists. And finally, there is the workers. They work in strata. So the workers are the bottom of the barrel. They all want to become specialists, and specialists all want to become rulers. That means that if there is a specialist job available, like those 2 science jobs we just opened up, 2 players from the workers will automatically move to the specialist area. In this particular case, that was clerks from the worker pool. And because of that, we're now generating less amenities, which is of course problematic. So we're going to need to fill that back up with some other jobs, or we can do something else. So let's go to the planetary summary and hit the features button. On any capital world of any empire, at the start of the game, you will have something called the slums. And with the slums, you can, if you replace that, you will get a free pop, which is great. We have already done that in this particular case, and we just have a bunch of blockers that we can just remove because it will give us additional slots later on. But always make sure you check this list in order to see if you can get yourself a free pop. Pops are the most important resource in the game, and you should always strive to get as many of them as you possibly can. So, things are moving along. We've got ourselves first contact, only 8 years into the game. Sometimes you can get them even a couple of months into the game, depending on the situation. We are slowly ticking up influence, and we got ourselves a nice little event called the Color of Science, where basically we can say, hey, this particular area, we can have additional science as well as a bunch of unity, or we can just have a technology to blue lasers. In this particular case, always go for the resource. The resource is permanent, whereas a boost in technology is only incidental. Always take those things that have compound interest over a long period of time. Which is exactly what we would want. Okay, so now we're going to go and talk a little bit about automation. So we've just researched, or at least surveyed, everything that's important within our core sector. Basically every single area that has been affected by these choke nodes. Which means that we can go a little bit more liberal on the options that we have available on our science ships. Instead of manually setting them to survey places like this or this or this, we're no longer going to do that. Instead, what we are going to do is we are going to stop them from moving for one. That was this ship. Yeah. Instead, we are going to go and click this button, the science ship automation. Now, the science ship automation allows us to do a couple of things. It will allow us to explore systems or survey systems or investigate anomalies, excavate archaeological sites, which we don't necessarily have access to unless you have the specific expansion for it, or research special projects. In this particular case, we're just going to go ahead and set this to automatically survey any system it can find. And it will do this for the rest of the game, or until it no longer has a place to expand to. Now, the other problem with this is that we still have space for one more leader. Oh, we got ourselves a potential first contact. Let's wait with the leader discussion a little bit until we've got this first contact scenario going on. Let's quickly pause and see what we have here. What did we get first contact with? Well, we got first contact with the golems. And because of this, we can go to the first contact screen and basically assign a special character called a envoy. Mercedes Diaz will do just fine. We will accept, and basically the envoy will now go through the process of establishing first contact with this species. Events will pop up, we will have to do some actions, but eventually we will get first contact with something else that is out there. But the thing is, now we know that somebody is out here, which means that we will need to expand in this direction as soon as we can. So what we're going to do because of that, we are just going to grab ourselves a construction ship as well as a science ship and basically try to do a little bit more stuff here. In the meantime, this science ship, which also has just finished his queue. We're actually going to do something else with these guys. We're actually going to set them to investigate anomalies, excavate archaeological sites, and start research projects. Basically, now we'll have a science ship that's exploring, and another science ship that's basically picking up the pieces as the other one is exploring. So Team A goes in for the first contact, and then the B team comes in for second contact. And I'm sure some of you got the reference to that. We got a technology. None of these are really interesting to me at the moment, which is why I will go for the cheapest one. The cheapest one always means that I can get to another technology faster. Because this list is randomized every single time, and if there is nothing interesting on the list, we will want to get to the list, or at least the next version of the list, as soon as possible. Cool, our star bases are now up and running, which is excellent work. We will most likely need to build another starbase over here as well as over here. However, we currently do not have enough on our cap available. Now this cap is a soft cap. We can go over this as much as we want. However, the further we go over this number, as in 3 out of 3, the more cost we will incur. Which basically means that we don't necessarily want to go over it at this moment in time because our economy is still fairly weak. And let's also take the opportunity to expand our space a little bit. This area can wait. It's not really all that interesting at the moment. We want to make sure that we go down here. And because of that, we're also going to get ourselves a new scientist. And basically, we want to get a scientist who is good at exploring. And this is a roamer, survey speed plus 15%. That sounds great. So let's go and set this person up to survey specifically. And we'll just do this little pocket here with these 2 choke nodes. This one as well as this one. So we can see what's going on here and potentially claim it. Perfect. Stuff seems to be coming along. Now we have a full leader pool. It is a soft cap, which means we can go over it any moment in time, as well as we have some aliens over here. Yeah, we got ourselves some Xenos who are scanning planets that are not for them to scan. It's okay. We're going to make sure that we claim these systems first. Unless, of course, these guys already have, which they, have done so indeed. Before we've established first contact, this will all be indicated as a question mark, but we can very clearly see that this place has been colonized, which means that us coming into this system and claiming it now was the right move to do. Has Procyon been claimed? No, it has not. However, there is a potential path for any aliens to go in that general direction. Now, we'll be continuing the play here until we get first contact, and we can go over some initial diplomacy as well. Got some good options here, some weapon technology. Who knows? Maybe they're baddies, some fusion technology to improve our ships. Research station output, also very good. However, in this particular case, research speed, perfect. We will go for that. Research speed is probably one of the best things that you can get in the game, together with pop growth speed. Again, pops are some of the most important things in the game, and so we're going to go and deal with that. In the meantime, because we are a democracy, it's time for a good old election. Our main leader, Dolores, is in the lead, so we're just going to go ahead and ignore this. Of course, if you want to get another leader in place for them to apply their bonuses, you can go and click on one of these and then, increase your support. However, in this particular case, we'll just keep Dolores in power. If you have any of the other types of empires, whether or not you're running an oligarchy or an empire or a dictatorial state, then that's not going to be part of your gameplay. This is unique to oligarchies and as well as democracies. Sweet. Okay, so my leader pool has finished. I got an election done. And now we're just moving along. The game will continuously throw things like this into your general direction. However, in the meantime, we're just going to go ahead and start building up our space, our infrastructure. We have a healthy economy, which means that we can start building up basically everything. And instead of setting our construction ships to manually build all of this stuff by, build all the science stations in this place, or all the mining stations. At this point, we don't really care about whether or not a station only generates a 1 or 2. So what we're going to do, we're going to hit this button, which is called automatic construction. Now, this particular construction ship will just move from space to space and build any station that is needed to be built. So it will start building everything up in this pulsar, or everything up in this here a system that has random stuff on it. It's all great and all important. In the meantime, our other construction ship is just doing its thing. We got some influence left. I don't think we'll be able to claim Procyon, even though, yeah, 28 influence at 3 a month. That's going to take us 10 months to do. We're just going to move this construction ship over here because Procyon does have a very important resource available, which is gases, and we do want to claim that. Strategic resources in space are always great, so we want to make sure that we can get that. And also, we've just found another system over here with an alien world that only has 1 pop on it, which means that they are, in fact, just colonized. Signs of Battle, Mount Graveyard, just another event, and we get ourselves some technology here. What do we want? We definitely want mining station output. So mining station output is always really, really good because any sort of resources that you are generating in space, let's say this here energy station system over here, so we're generating 4 in total, we can get a 10% bonus here, which may not seem like a lot, like it's 0.4. But still, it's over time with every other place, it does add up quite rapidly. Plus, we just finished our last survey for our chain that we did earlier. In the meantime, first contact, the event has moved forward. We have seen something here. They are unknown, but we are on the 2nd stage of first contact, which is great. And Dolores has been revoted in, which is awesome. We got ourselves a nice little event. Message in a bottle. Oh wow, an archaeological site. So we may actually get to see some archaeological action this particular time around. How exciting. Are we going to be able to get the starbase up and running? No, we are not. These guys were sadly just a little bit faster. They are already into building up this place quite far. So instead, what we are going to do, we are going to move over here. In addition, we're actually going to adjust this automated stuff, and actually we're going to get them to do archaeological sites as well. So they'll be starting to do archaeological sites for a message in a bottle, which came out together with the aquatics expansion. And you don't need to own aquatics to get access to that. I believe it was part of the patch. But yeah, hydroponics farm is in, which means that we cycled quite nicely, and we will immediately go for the science boost, because science is boosting is what we want. So let's do a quick inspection of our planet, shall we? We are still running at -1 amenities here. We got 1 job available. Looking at our list, it looks like it is a clerk job, which is not the end of the world. And if we go to population, we will see that that will be done in 18 months. So in 18 months' time, we will have ourselves a new pop. Meanwhile, Subscribe is also in a similar boat. In 12 months, they will get themselves a new technician. That's good. We're just going to go ahead and build another generator district here because it is going to take us about 2 years to build. So by the time that pop is going to be done, this district is going to be online, and the next jobs will be ready. Once again, like I said in the previous video, don't build districts like multiples unless you know that you can support them, because they do cost upkeep. And of course, like this video, this was going to be our mineral world. We've got some jobs available, but the second one will be done in 13 months, which is great. So let's get a construction a district up and running here. In the meantime, we could put down a monument. Now, a monument generates culture jobs, which we don't necessarily want at the moment, so ignore what I said there. I was still thinking about the old way it was working, because previously they worked a little bit differently. In the meantime, though, we got ourselves a fresh tradition. We will get to the factions shortly, actually. Keep an eye on this. Okay, cool. So we finished Discovery, and we gotten ourselves a Technological Ascendancy bonus. So now we can do something else here. We can go for Expansion. This is something we can ignore. We can go for Expansion, which means that we can build a larger empire faster. Diplomacy, to maybe get a federation with these aliens over here. Maybe Harmony, to stabilize our empire. Prosperity, to make our economy stronger. Mercantile, if we want to trade more. In this particular case, I do want to go for Expansion, because one of the most important things that you can have in this part of the game is reduction in starbase influence costs, which is what Reach the Stars, one of the first items on Expansion, does. I do want to get that, and in 32 months we will pick Reach the Stars to get that bonus, because we're still very much in the expansion phase of our empire. So all of our planets are building districts as far as possible. Yeah, you will be done in 13 months. So I'm just going to go ahead and build a... What do we need here? A city district. A comet sighted through the belt. Oh, additional happiness. Very nice. Cool. You may have noticed that 12 years into the game, I have never looked at our military fleet. But now it is time that we do. So, as we are currently setting up our empire, we also need to keep in mind that our economy is starting to grow, which also means that there is a chance of piracy. If you notice a little button here that just pops around the outline at the bottom right of the screen, we can see that there's some stuff going on in our empire. This is the trade map mode. This whole thing down the bottom is all about map modes, by the way. And we can see that trade is flowing from Sirius to Sol and from Alpha Centauri also to Sol. However, there is a chance of some piracy going on here because 6 trade value, which equates to 6 energy, is being pirated away by pirates, at least a percentage of that. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to get rid of that by using anti-piracy measures of our fleet. We're going to go and select our fleet. We see that we have a cool admiral over there. He's generating us some minerals. That's very nice. These are just corvettes. They'll get better over the game. But in the meantime, though, we're going to go and shift-click on Patrol, then click on Alpha Centauri, and then click on Sol, and then click on Sirius. So now this fleet will start patrolling and start flattening out pirates because it has 30 points of piracy suppression. Every single time a fleet moves from space to space, it basically means that it will remove the piracy in that system. This is a often overlooked system, and I don't necessarily talk too much about it, but it's very important in order to keep your early empire under control in terms of its energy income. Cool. Mining stations will be increasing. Powered exoskeletons. Yes, I would like myself some robots soon, please. Colony ships, do we need those at the moment? No, because we are not colonizing anything at the moment. Energy subsidies, though. We do have ourselves an energy planet, which is what we need. Speaking of which, let's pause the game. As we are going through the game, of course, we're talking about systems that we haven't touched upon yet. And now it's time for designations. Now, designations is something special that was introduced about 2 years ago, and basically it allows us to further specialize our planets. Now, this is an energy world, but we don't get any specific bonuses from it being an energy world as of this moment. So instead, we can go to the designation button here and then click on generator world. Now this will now instantly turn this place into a generator world with its own bonuses. All technicians, which are the pops that are generating energy, will now generate 25% more energy. And in addition to that, the districts for energy are now cheaper as well. We're going to do the same thing with this place, the mining planet, and we're going to just set this to a mining world. We can also do this for other places like agri worlds, industrial worlds, factory worlds, etc., etc. Tech worlds is also quite useful, and I believe we can do it for our capital as well. So we could, for instance, set our capital to be something interesting. For now, however, we're just going to focus on it being an empire capital because that's kind of where we want to go. In addition to that, there's something that I think is rather important here. We can take a look here at the cog. And we should be able, yes. So we have this little button over here because it's not necessarily the easiest to see what kind of planet we have. So we can just move over to, say, planet designation and basically say, hey, what do I want the icons to look like? I personally am a big fan of planet designation straight as the icon of the planet. You don't necessarily need to do that if you want to have a good idea of what kind of planet you are running there, like it's a continental world or something. But having planet designation for me is quite useful because it basically allows me to instantly see what kind of planet I am dealing with. This menu is very, very useful. You can also move stuff around. Let's say that you want to have like shipyards somewhere else listed, that sort of thing. So we're still in the expansion phase. We're only 12 years into the game. We're going to go all the way down to 2400 at this rate. But we've already focused on so many features here. Is that a tropical world that I could have claimed at some point? It is indeed. That makes me... Oh, did I get Procyon?
Complete.
This is a very interesting opportunity. So what we're going to do here is we're going to see if we can claim... I cannot claim the system, can I? No, it's probably owned by the others. However, what we could hypothetically do here, if we had enough influence, we can actually skip this particular system. So instead of colonizing this system, we can go straight to this one at twice the cost of influence, which we obviously don't have in this particular case, but it is definitely possible. So maybe something for the future, and you may have a scenario where that be interesting. Ah, yes, we got Gugoosh as a planet over there. That's fine. Let's go through this message in a bottle. That's all moving along. How's first contact going? Not great as of yet. We got ourselves some science. And as you can see, Stellaris very much has a ebb and flow of stuff that's happening. Basically, we see what's going on within the game. How naive. Oh no. They're receptive. That's very good. But basically, the game has very much an ebb and flow of stuff that is happening that you need to take a look at. How is the economy going? Am I going to double check on what's going on over here? Sure, because a city district is about to come online. I got 0 jobs available, and I have a pop in quite some time. We will get this one at 213 months. That seems dubious. But yeah, basically we now have additional pops available and additional jobs, which is great. This continental world is doing just fine. This energy world, this mineral world is doing fine, which means that for a little while we can focus on other things, such as in our star bases. So let's click on one of our star bases and see what's up with here. As you can see here, we got a bunch of modules that we have available. And I'm just going to go ahead and turn this place, where is this, Sirius?
System survey complete.
I'm going to turn this into an anchorage, which means that I have more capacity to build ships, and I would love to have robotic assembly plants. Try to get robot workers as soon as possible, because they are great, unless of course you are a spiritualist, because, you know, spiritualists really don't like robots, but you get the general gist here. Alright, I will be continuing to play until first contact with this one, so don't you worry about that. We are going to claim this system just so we can get a nice choke note. There is Beetlejuice, by the way. Red Giants ready to explode in the real world, so that's good. We got ourselves a nice dig site over here. We got some resources for this. We got ourselves some precursors. We're going to ignore that until our researchers are better. And we got ourselves first contact. The Ottogan Mandate, and there they are. They are a theocratic dictatorship, and as we go through space and as we go through the galaxy, we will find ourselves different empires with different tenements to ours. For instance, we are the UNE, we are egalitarian, and we are xenophile. These guys are xenophile, fanatic xenophile, but they are spiritualists, which means they can sync up with us quite nicely. And we would love to be friends with them. And basically, we will get a nice little bonus with them if possible. If not, we can also say, hey, we don't like you at all, and then we can get bonuses in other ways. However, we got ourselves first contact. And let's pause the game immediately, because we are at a crux within our game. Because this is where we decide whether or not we are going to be the baddies or whether or not we're going to be the goodies. Well, first of all, we do not have the fleets to actually do anything to these guys. So we're just going to go and open up communications and see what we can do here. They already like us a lot, which means that we are going to go ahead and improve relations, which will unlock a bunch of bonuses for us. We'll also have this giant list of things that we can do with them. However, I would highly recommend to establish an embassy right off the get-go, because it makes stuff a little bit easier. And yeah, basically it will allow us to get a nice rapport with these aliens and have a good idea what's going on. They also want to do a non-aggression pact with us, which is something that I'm not too keen on at this moment in time, but it would improve our relationship quite nicely. I think that that's good for now. We could also build a spy network. Let's actually do that. Let's start a spy network, shall we? We just want to gather information about these aliens, and basically we'll go over this whole boondoggle some other time, because this is quite a lot of information that you will have to go through. But like I said, we did want to go for Reach the Stars, because we can get another tradition. And now our stations are going to be a little bit cheaper. But yeah, we're not going to go too much into spying at this moment in time. Edict Fund. It's probably a good time to talk about edicts, because I don't think did we talk about this in the last video? I think we have. This is super annoying. Let's go and click this. It's now locked. We will never have to deal with this ever again. So nice. Quality of life. Let's go to government. Ah, yes, we did do map the stars, didn't we? Well, we have more space in our edict fund now, which means that, or at least we're going to, I think. Yeah, edict fund, we'll have that in 20 months. But basically, we'll be able to get another edict up and running because of that, which is really nice. And we got first contact with some Xenos that seem to be genuinely nice people for once,
System
which
survey complete.
doesn't really happen all that much. I would really like this tropical world over here, but especially considering it's a food generating world. But, you know, you win some, you lose some. And of course, sometimes you want to go ahead and say, hey, instead of becoming friends, I would like to take your worlds. You know, that's a valid strategy. Just make sure that you have the right, weapons ready to go there. Cool, we just got global energy management with the energy grid building. Now, as we go through the technology tree, we will get through new buildings, or at least we will unlock them. And this is specifically an energy building, so we're just going to go ahead to our energy world, which we specialized on energy, and we're just going to go ahead and build that energy grid technology. Because basically we will get more energy from our technicians that way, plus we will get more technician jobs, which is great, because anything that we can do to specialize our worlds is great, even better. Message in a bottle, some more lyrics, hyper fun stuff, fragments of light. We will keep on going and see more and more of these events as we go along. First contact wasn't really all that exciting. We could potentially get, like, I don't know, a migration treaty with them. Also very nice. Let's just actually get one. And as soon as that ticks over, we can now all of a sudden colonize these Arctic worlds. Because of migration treaties, we will now be able to use pops from these other empires to colonize these worlds. And don't mind if I do. I'm just going to go ahead and give this a cool name. Yeah, excellent. And this place over here, which is at a choke node, it's not all that great. Could be a nice industrial world. So let's, give this one a nice name. And there we go. That's nice. And I think we've got another... Oh, that's a Gaia world. We don't talk about the Gaia world. But just like that, by getting a treaty with a alien species next door, all of a sudden we have access to 2 planets, or additional planets, within our territory already. Looks like it's time for combat. But we'll leave that to the next video. I hope that you've enjoyed this so far. As we go through this particular series, we will be touching on more and more systems. Today, we've done some balancing within our economy. Sure, we got ourselves an energy world and a mining world. We still need a food world, even though our food seems to be going quite nicely. And we also need a factory world. But it looks like with the first contact situation, that has been sorted out as we can now colonize these worlds. In addition, we talked a little bit about piracy, how we should defend our space by getting choke nodes. This one, for instance, and this one, for instance, look very interesting, as well as the automation of ships such as science ships and construction ships and all that stuff. If you have seen anything in this particular video that you think by yourself, ASpec, this was super obvious. How could you have missed to explain this? Feel free to put it down in the comments below. I'm looking really forward to hear your words on that. In the meantime, though, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the video here. For those of you who want to know more about how to play Stellaris, feel free to subscribe to the channel and keep an eye out for more videos in this How to Play Stellaris or Stellaris for Beginners series. Of course, if you've missed the first video and you want to have a refresher, feel free to check it out right now. It should be on your screen. But in the meantime, though, I want to thank my patrons for making today's video possible. For those of you who want to have more updates on the shed situation, make sure that you go keep an eye on the community tab as well as the Patreon as well. The Patreon very much helps the growth of the shed into more awesome ways or more awesome vision, so we can get some awesome stuff going on there. In the meantime, though, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take good care of yourselves, and as always, each other.